For the first time in more than 5.5 years, we finally tonight have a few new answers to a question that has loomed over Indiana and over the town of Delphi. Who killed Abby Williams and Libby Gervais?
From the end of the bridge to, you got to go through. Now, I believe that the bodies were found about.
Movement born from a family's grief and determination. In April of 2020, Army soldier Vanessa Guillen went missing while stationed at one of the largest military installations.
That little music in the background that goes, "Don't be suspicious, don't be suspicious."
Right.
Knew about it or was there. He's as guilty as the person who committed it.
Chilling details in the arrest of a suspected serial killer caught before he could strike again.
Him, they dropped the ball, man. Like they said, he went AWOL, and that he was a deserter, and nobody went to look for him.
Today is not a day to celebrate, but the arrest of Richard M. Allen of Delphi on 2 counts of murder.
Like I said, we're going back. We were asked last time to kind of talk about the food, the grub truck video, and kind of give our perspective of it. The press release from the police department, it indicated that they're still trying to put pieces together from that night. Does that worry you at any point or at any bit that they're still trying to put those pieces together?
It's been over 5 weeks since little Kaylee Anthony vanished. Her mother, Casey, has been arrested for lying to police. She's being held without bail.
Hey, greetings from the year 3000. It still sucks. This is Philip J. Fry, and you're listening to The Drunken Turkey Show, your one stop for this sort of thing. Hit that button, like and subscribe. You know what to do, just like every other podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Drunk Turkey Show. Hope you guys had a great weekend. I'm your host, Daniel J. And alongside we are my good buddies, Jaime and Big Blue. Jaime, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. Got a little aches and pains here and there because I'm getting old, but other than that, I'm all right.
I hear you, dude. We're about to start the live on time, and then I got a back spasm. Big Blue, my man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Hopefully, the day goes by quick at work, and then I got my 2 days off, and maybe do some spring break things here. Maybe go swimming or something.
Nice.
Dude, it's cold. What are you talking about? Swimming.
Oh, well, I got to do something. The kids are getting anxious. It's a burning Monday.
Yeah, hear you, man. Hear you. Thank you, Heather, for becoming a new member. We appreciate you. Yeah, man. It was really hot the other day. I woke up today feeling pretty fresh. I was like, man. I left the house in like shorts because I was going to go for a little jog, and left the house in shorts and a shirt. Opened the door and I was like, "Whoa, what happened?" I had to turn around and get some warmers and a sweater, man. It was a little bit too chilly for me. A little crazy. Thank you all in the live chat. Already 792 of you guys. Thank you so much. If you guys would do us a favor and hit the like button. YouTube's been acting pretty crazy here recently. I'm sure some of you guys saw my post. I was trying to put out some content and put it out there, and took forever for it to get approved. And then once it got approved, it got unapproved, and just a whole mess of stuff. So if you could do us a favor and help us out, help the algorithm by hitting the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, give us a sub. We're at 34,600, somewhere around there. There's 832 of you guys here. If you guys subscribe, we can get to that 35,000 mark. We'd appreciate it. Thank you, Island Girl, for becoming a new member. We appreciate you. And so first things first, we got to talk about a little bit of news that hold on one second. There it is. Sorry, I'm on a new platform today, and so that looked kind of weird to me. We have some pretty horrific news, actually, kind of coming out close from here out of Texas and North Carolina. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this, but this is from CBS. Lexington, North Carolina. A North Carolina man is facing the K, or child taking, and the big R charges after police found a 13-old missing girl from Dallas locked in a building on his property freaking horrific, man. The girl had been chatting with George Ivan Santos Camacho via social media platform, according to the Davidson County Sheriff's Office, who say their conversations were consistent with grooming and enticement. It wasn't specified if she was picked up from Dallas or taken to North Carolina, or if she was flown out, but video cameras from her home showed a vehicle that was registered to an address in Davidson County, North Carolina. On March 10th, shortly after receiving a tip about a missing girl from the FBI, the vehicle was located at a traffic stop. During the traffic stop, police found out that the girl was locked in an outbuilding on the property the vehicle was registered at. An outbuilding could be a shed, garage, barn, or the same property of the house. It did not connect to it. Camacho was taken into custody and charged with abduction of children, felonies, restraint, several different violations against children. He's being held currently on a $1.25 million bond. Police say the girl didn't have any physical injuries. She was taken to a local hospital where she was evaluated and then transported back to Dallas. This is still under investigation. Davidson County Sheriff Richie Simmons says this is just the tip of the iceberg. We feel they're still investigating this. So this could be a situation that leads to more cases and arrests. Pretty terrifying. Social media kind of started it, y'all. What are your thoughts about this, Jaime?
It's a sad situation, especially because how nowadays social media makes it so much easier for these kind of predators. You know what I mean? Right.
No, you're absolutely right.
It's hard to keep track sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, kids and stuff, or what they're looking at, and who they're in contact with too.
Yeah.
What do you think, Blue? This person was found in a shed.
I mean, she's lucky to be found alive, man. That's one thing. Sometimes it's not the same situation with a lot of other kidnappings. So just pray God she gets home safe.
Yeah, she's apparently on her way back home. She is very lucky to be alive. Mistake is made so many times by young children. They assume that they're talking to somebody of their own age group, or somebody, that person that's talking to them is who they are. And many times that ends up not being the case, and it ends up in a more tragic situation. Fortunately for this young lady, she's able to return home.
Yeah.
Hopefully, just she can move on with this, and our prayers and thoughts go out to her. And I can't imagine what 13 years old. What's that, Big Blue?
Well, somebody asked how long was she there. I think they said 10 days. I think, right? Is it 10 days ago they spotted him on the camera?
I think it was March 10th, so it was only a few days. It was a handful of days. Apparently, what had occurred was, from what I understand from reading from this, is they were able to see a license plate on the vehicle of the vehicle that pulled up to her house. So I'm assuming she was not flown out if his address and it was his vehicle that went and picked her up from her house in Dallas, Texas. It's a long ways the way to go.
This ain't the first time that's happened. Remember, probably about a year ago, that there's probably the same age 13-year-old girl was at the Dallas Maverick game with her family, and she got abducted there at the game. She was talking to somebody, and they picked her up from the game, and they found her somewhere in, I think I want to say Oklahoma or Louisiana.
Yeah,
that happens, man.
No, for sure. It shouldn't. You would think that with technology and advancement in technology, they would be able to have certain, programs that would be able to catch these type of things. But hopefully sooner than later. And so now to today's topic of discussion, which is Kaylee's cell phone. So last time we were here, we were looking through these countless pages, 769 of them, and looking at the receipt and inventory of what it is that they recovered from their search warrants. And we noticed that there was only 3 cell phones that they had search warrants for. Now, one, we got a lot of questions, or a lot of people in the comment section saying that no, they didn't need to do that. They had the family, Kaylee's family, would have given them permission. One, that would also mean that the other 3 families didn't give them permission. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's the case. And that wasn't the case. What ended up happening was, although 769 pages are here, apparently not all of them, because they did find Kaylee's phone, and it's right here. As you can see, they have this is from the state of Idaho Judicial Branch. I guess mistakes just happen when they the entire thing was uploaded to the docket. I guess just not every page got made, because right here, number 2, this is a warrant for Apple, and it is, if we scroll down, for Kaylee's phone. So it was found, and we wanted to bring this out to light because last time we said it wasn't found, and our goal here isn't to put out information just to get clicks or anything like that. We want to put out accurate information, and when we find something isn't accurate, we need to fix it. And so that's the first thing that we wanted to say was, although it wasn't in the 769 pages that we had downloaded from the docket, it was on the Idaho website, which is the most accurate and where we should have gotten our information to get from in the first place. So lesson learned on that. So are you surprised that it's in there, Big Blue?
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure she would have had her phone on her at home. So I'm not surprised. And I guess I wonder how many other pages are in that other website that were missing from the 769.
That's true. Or how many? Yeah, you might be right there. If there's any other pages that are missing, I know you, Jaime, you weren't feeling well, so you weren't here last time. But would you get a chance to watch the live to kind of see about the evidence that we were talking about?
Yeah.
Awesome. Before we get into it, the OPI, Opinionated Idiot, go check out his channel. He says, "What's up, boys?" Gives us a $10 super chat. Let's go. Nice to see all 3 of you guys on the panel this evening. Everyone in the chat, smash that like button. Please do so. We would really appreciate that. And so we went through the evidence. We noticed, well, first and foremost, that piece of evidence that the phone was missing, but it's not. Now, let's go back here. One thing I want to say is that there's a lot of stuff in here, and it just kind of goes to show how much work that the police and the FBI and every agency was doing and trying to find and to find this person. Did you find anything stand out to you, Jaime? Maybe perhaps Tinder accounts?
I couldn't find anything on the Tinder account. I know. There's been speculation that he was in contact with one of the victims, right?
Right.
But I have not come across anything that, solid evidence, or at least a screenshot. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, what I mean is that, so, man, hold on. Give me a second. It's redacted here, right? This is the one from the Idaho match group, and when it says inventory, it's completely redacted. But the one that we got from the docket, I have to go find them. I'll do that here in a sec. But it doesn't. It shows that there was a Tinder account for Madison, a Tinder account for Kaylee, and a Tinder account that they were searching for Bryan Kohberger. What did you think about that? The fact that 2 young ladies had those accounts, did that make you think that perhaps there's a connection there, or maybe perhaps that's how he knew these girls?
I mean, when it comes down to Tinder, I know that even if you don't use your profile on Tinder, it just stays up.
Right.
It doesn't. I don't think it. I believe you have to go through a couple of steps for it to get deleted.
Right.
So I don't know how long they were still active on that or not.
All right. Well, with Kaylee, she was dating Jack Decor for a significant amount of time, right? I think it was 5 or 6 years. They had just broken up. They'd only been broken up for 3 weeks, unless unless she was cheating on him, which I doubt, you know,
Mhm.
I would assume that Tinder account is probably new
Could be,
because, I don't think she was using Tinder when she was 15. I mean, I could be wrong.
yeah.
Kids nowadays, I mean, they shouldn't be, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Yeah, we got some super chats real quick to get to.
homeboy has my name.
Mikey S comes in with a $5.50 super chat. He said, "We're all in together, and sometimes it happens. Guys are all about integrity and appreciate. Hey, y'all, smash that like button. Yeah, thank you so much. We wanted to make sure that we came back with the most accurate information as possible. Miss Thing Bad with $13.99 super chat. She says, "Nice to be here. Thanks, guys. Cheers." The Attaway with a $9.99 super chat says, "Great. Greetings, guys. Thanks for all the work you've put into the case. We appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for helping out the cause and, supporting our channel." So for me, when I looked at that and I saw that as something that kind of stuck out to me, I was like, all right, maybe perhaps this is a possibility of where Kaylee may have interacted with Kohberger, or maybe, or Kohberger may have noticed her, right? I got a lot of, comments in the comment section asking her, saying that no way that Kaylee would date a guy like Bryan, this, that, and a third. The thing is about Tinder is, or even social medias or wherever it is they may have, met, is that the pictures that they post and the things that they say about themselves could possibly not be 100% accurate. For instance, those pictures can be enhanced, Photoshop, things like that. What he says about himself in his description, you have to remember he's a PhD student, so he's probably well versed in literature and verbiage, and has a way of talking, especially behind a computer screen, not in front of somebody. So, he can probably, display himself as somebody who someone would be interested in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, I don't see that as a big thing, that, he doesn't look like the kind of guy. I don't know Kaylee. I don't think many people do to give that assumption. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's see. I wanted to go through some of the things in here real quick and get your guys' opinion on it. So they were looking at Reddit, but the Reddit that they were looking at or for, I believe, was Kaylee's account. Yes. So here's the warrant for the Reddit. Now, we all know that Bryan Kohberger had a Reddit account, and that Bryan Kohberger's Reddit account was to try to entice criminal offenders to come forward and take a survey about their feelings during the commission of a crime. I'm hearing some noise in the background. You don't hear that? Like a song? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's Big Blue. Jaime, what do you think about them looking for, Kaylee's Reddit account?
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe some insight, or who's talking. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I mean, she was into crime stuff, right? Like,
right. You're right.
Crime shows and stuff like that. So it could have been, we also looked through Reddit, for other crimes, just to see where everybody's at in that certain case. So I'm guessing that you can go down the rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, you make absolute sense, dude. That's true. She could have been going down the rabbit hole on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. They're checking through Facebook. They're checking through the Tinder accounts, DoorDash.
Mm-hmm.
DoorDash. Like, the guy came forward based on, from what I understand, right? I wonder why they would need. Well, I think I know the answer to it. But they wanted a warrant for the house from DoorDash for a specific time frame. Let me see if I can remember where I saw this at.
So, Penny had a question there for us.
Yeah, man, can you check out the eBay accounts they subpoenaed? Second eBay link. They were looking at relation to K-bar knives. Oh, hold on, I'm sorry. Look at the user IDs they were looking at in relation to the K-bar knives. What do you make of that? I'm going to check that out. Let me check that out. So right here, they wanted the transactions from DoorDash for the entire year of January of 2022 for their deliveries, time of sales, time of deliveries, purchases, transactions. To me, the reason why they do that is to show a pattern. Like, you know, do these people often order food that late?
Yeah.
Right. What do you think that they're suspecting that they don't?
I don't know, man. I mean, from experience with my kids, they're always ordering food too. You know what I mean? Especially when they're at their house and I'm not available to go take them food.
Yeah.
They just DoorDash order, you know. So,
Yeah.
but, I mean, it's college. They're college kids. They're coming back from drinking. I mean, you remember us? We go hit up Whataburger right after that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No. I know that. But what I'm saying is, we would think that was common, right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they are looking that far in the past. If for instance, maybe ordering that late is not common, and so you know there was some speculation that maybe perhaps somebody else ordered the food, right? And so what I'm thinking is if they think that, is that why they're doing that, or they could probably just be crossing their T's, you know what I mean? So that way somebody doesn't come back and say, you know, somebody else ordered the food, because it was just it's odd coincidence that the food is arriving there around the same time that Bryan Kohberger is. Now, I have the document that Bryan, allegedly, that Bryan from OPI, the opinionated idiot, or is it VOI, TOI? I don't know. Anyways, sorry, man, I'm butchering your name there. Let's see. Let's pull this up. He wanted me to look at the user IDs that we're looking at in relation to the K-bar knives. All right, so this is the warrant here. All right. The user IDs, is that where's that part at?
I was asking if we want to make them a mod so they can.
Yeah. I'll do that too.
I'm trying to keep up with it, but I was trying to.
Can you, Bryan? Can you point out more or less where you're talking to, and about as far as
the second link?
Yeah, no, I know it's the second link. There's just a lot of paperwork in that second link. Man, where's? Yeah, just let me know in the live chat. Well, anywho, let me pull this back up. Yeah, because I want to go through like all 5 or 15 pages of this. Let me know where it is. While you're doing that, page 13. All right, cool. Thank you. 11, 12. Oh, right here. All right, so for information regarding the following eBay user IDs. All right, hold on. So let's read this from the top. Lawrence Murray, having given me proof upon oath this day showing probable cause, establishing grounds for missing and a search warrant, or probable cause to believe the property referred to and sought out an opinion. Said premises consist of information of crimes, homicide, and the position of control of eBay related to the sales made of the following users from January 1, 2022 to present for the following items: K-bar K 1217S UMC fighting knife sheath, and a K-bar full-size knife. For the information regarding the following eBay user IDs. Man, I wish I could read what that says. Quantity, so that's how many they had purchased. This is where they're from, and I'm assuming this is their IDs. So somebody in Arizona purchased 2, one in Idaho, one in Pennsylvania, one in Washington. And so relative to Bryan Kohberger, Idaho, PA, and Washington, I think are the ones that we would, be interested in.
Yeah.
However, Idaho and Washington are areas that are pretty rural. Hunting and stuff like that is common. In fact, locals from the area talked about that.
Yeah.
Uh,
But they have knife shows a lot.
they might, man.
Like gun shows. I remember we used to have a lot of gun shows here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, somebody from Idaho purchasing one of these knives wouldn't be uncommon, but given this, I mean, I would reckon depending on when it was purchased. I'm not sure if Idaho would be too big on my scene as much as maybe Washington, because I'm assuming that Bryan Kohberger's address or mailing address, or where he received his mail, would be Washington and not Idaho. So the one in Pennsylvania and Washington would be the ones that would be interesting, in my opinion. What do you think?
No, yeah, definitely. I think if he was not to leave paper trail, I would have. If I was him, I would have bought the knife on a gun show or knife show cash.
Yeah.
And you won't use as much of a paper trail.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you would think with somebody who has the
background, right?
Yeah, the background that he has and the education, that he wouldn't be making those simple mistakes. Now these and that's weird. I can't find Bryan on here, but I see him on the StreamYard live chat, but not on the eBay. I mean, on the YouTube one, so I can make him a mod. That's weird. Well, anyways, yeah, I wouldn't assume that he would be that stupid to do that given his education, but you never know. Whoa, yeah. Thank you, Deanna Miller, with a $25 super chat. Great 3-hour live the other night. I was thinking if KB was the disrespectful date with KG and KB was obsessed with MM photos in the phone, OnlyFans, perhaps that's why their wounds were so different. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. What I was thinking was perhaps if so. Well, for those that didn't see, there's an interview with the Goncalves family done by Chronicles of Olivia, and during that interview, they talk about a date that Kaylee went on. Now, they said that it happened between the time that obviously that her and Jack weren't together. So we found out later that was a 3-week period. So it was relatively soon. Right. Yeah. And that on that date that this guy disrespected her and called her the B word. I'll put it as that.
Yeah.
And so that's not uncommon behavior or not unheard of behavior from Kohberger. There was reports that he was, treating wait staff very inappropriately and disrespectful in a similar manner at a brewery, I think in Pennsylvania, where he was asked not to go back. Mm-hmm. Right. And so is it possible that Bryan Kohberger was that person? Now we see the fact that Kaylee had a Tinder and Bryan had a Tinder. So there's the possibility that those people are out there. They're putting themselves out there on a dating platform, right? This isn't a big area. This isn't a large area. This is a relatively small community. So I'm going to assume that pool of or that criteria of people that you're going to run into is probably relatively small, right? And so if they were both on that side, one would speculate at the very least that they would have came across each other's profile. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. And Jeff H comes back with it. That's a birthing hips type of comment. Now, the birthing hips comment, I will say, is a quote or not a quote, but that is a comment that is used in the movie Dark Shadows by Johnny Depp, where he portrays a vampire. It's like some kind of weird comedy, and in that comedy, he refers to women by their birthing hips. And so when that comment had came out, I was like, that sounds so familiar. Where have I heard that or seen that from? Mm-hmm. And sure enough, it was from the Dark Shadows movie. But yeah, he definitely was a guy that had some interesting choice of words, or even if it was a quote from a movie, an interesting choice of quotes to send out to people. But if it was Bryan, right, and he disrespected Kaylee, and in the course of talking or meeting Kaylee online, he came across Madison's profile and then attempted to, talk to her. And let's just say if Madison responded on Tinder, like, aren't you the guy that said this to Kaylee? Like, ew or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Then perhaps maybe that's why there may have been more injury to Kaylee, because he was upset and more angry. Because, it doesn't sound logical, right? Because just somebody turning you down shouldn't be a reason for somebody to go and commit this type of stuff.
Yeah.
But, these are people doing illogical things. What do you think, Jaime? What do you think about that theory?
No, it's just totally possible. Like you said, the town's a small town. Pullman's like really literally down the street. And also you can also change the radius that you're searching for too at the same time on Tinder. So I'm more than likely he did run around. I mean, he did come around the profiles at one point.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what it's gonna be. I don't know about that date or anything like that. I don't know about that. But
you think?
The what?
So you think it could be somebody else? It obviously could be somebody other than Bryan.
Yeah.
But.
At this point, man, like I think it might have been someone else.
Right. It could have been.
Yeah, but like you said, maybe there's things that people get triggered with. The smallest thing that you can trigger people with, and they can get really super violent.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't pass it. I wouldn't go past it.
What about you, Big Blue? What do you think? Do you think that there was significant? It's been described. I shouldn't say was. It's been described that, or led to believe, that Kaylee had significantly more injuries than potentially the other, victims in this case. We find out that there's pictures possibly of Madison on his phone, or Maddie on his phone. Kaylee was in Maddie's room. What do you think? Why do you think? What do you think about the theory?
I think my theory why she probably had more wounds is maybe she woke up and with more defense wounds than attack wounds, but it's hard to tell. We weren't there.
Right.
The one that was there, and we speculate was there because the evidence points towards him is Bryan. So we'll see if he talks, man. So I want to see him on the stand, see if he says anything.
You think he will?
I think he will. He seems like a narcissistic type of guy that wants to get his point out.
What about you, Jaime? You think he'll talk on the stand?
Man, I said Alec Murdoch was not gonna talk on the stand. He did. I don't know why. I think because I think that he thought he can actually explain his inaccuracies in the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't think he will. I mean, it's always up to the defender, right? At the end, like the lawyers can tell you don't go up there, but if he wants to go up there, he can.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The lawyers are just are gonna give their opinion. They're gonna state their opinion of if he should go or not.
Exactly. And speaking about his narcissism, there is a new report out there. This is from the Daily Mail, so take it as you will. And I will put this advisory out there. This isn't the first time that some news have come out about Kohberger from an inmate who was in the jail that he was in at the time. So those claims came out to be false, but this is something that is put out there. So I think this is something we could read and then discuss. Searching for new insights into Bryan Kohberger's jail life, as told dailymail.com by his fellow inmates. He obsesses over TV coverage of his own case, has turned to God, and faces constant taunts from other prisoners. Now, I'm not sure, and I'm assuming maybe possibly because of the fact that, Moscow, Idaho is smaller. Maybe the jail cells and the prison there, it's probably not the largest. Mm-hmm. And so they may not have those certain areas, like the bigger jails would probably have. where he would be segregated. But given the high profile of this case, his criminal justice background, I think he was a security guard at a school at one point. He should definitely be in segregation, which I don't understand how he would be getting taunted by any other prisoners when he is constantly by himself and only surrounded by guards. I want to say that first and foremost. Right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
All right. I mean, so
do they wonder how many times, how long do they have him locked up out of the day? Like 23 hours?
Yep. Yeah, I think they have to, I think by law you have to give somebody like an hour outside to be out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's probably in a cell by himself for 23 hours. There shouldn't be any prisoner that comes, towards him. In fact, when he walks down the hall has to be cleared. All inmates would have to be in their cell locked before he could walk out there. He would be in constraints, and two CIs or not CIs, two guards on both sides of him. And so, I find that part, I'm sure they're yelling at him when they see him. You can't stop that. But the tormentation part, let's read the article and let's see what that means. So it says, Bryan Kohberger is obsessed with following his own case from behind bars and has now found God attending mass every Sunday, source says. DailyMail.com spoke with a current and former inmates as well as jail sources to discuss Kohberger's time in jail. Among the revelations are that Kohberger gets his daytime access to television and likes to flip on the news to follow the coverage of his own case. He watches himself all the time, one inmate told DailyMail.com. It's really kind of bizarre. The accused quadruple life taker, who has been locked up without bail at the Latah County Jail since early January, steps out of his cell around 7 p.m. on Sundays to meet with a local pastor who leads him in prayer. He sits down with the pastor and receives his own private mass. A source inside the jail said, it's just the two of them, and no, I have no idea what they might talk about. And I would that sounds accurate, in my opinion, especially when you have somebody who's going to be in segregation to this extent. So it says here, by all accounts, the 20-year-old is has been a model prisoner. A jail official tells DailyMail.com that despite facing taunts from inmates who sometimes shout at him, he suffers. And as he shuffles past their cells, when one inmate named Tyson hollered the B word at the accused murderer during a recent weekday, Kohberger barely flinched, turning toward him in a menacing stare without breaking stride as he proceeded down the hall, according to one inmate who watched it happen. So he kind of just gave him a little death stare.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty creepy, man. He always has the same expression or a non-expression, said one inmate who met with the DailyMail.com reporter in jail. He just looks straight ahead. I've never even seen his eyebrows or mouth move. He never says anything. Kohberger spends most of his time alone in private cell, kept apart from the other inmates who share cells. He rarely even chats with jailmates who typically only see him when he walks past them. They say he maintains a steely stare when he steps out to meet his lawyers to visit in the library, and that's when he's been flanked by several correction officers who escort him wherever he goes. So basically, like what I said before, I hadn't read this article before.
Yeah.
So basically, like what I said, they outside of shouting, I really wouldn't go say that that's tormentation. Would you?
Nah.
Yeah, that's not torment. So a jailhouse, couple dozen inmates in a sprawling basement directly underneath the Latah County Courthouse and Sheriff's Office near downtown Moscow. Opaque windows to some of the cells face a quiet side street located just 1.4 miles from the rental home where the 4 University of Idaho students' lives were taken during the pre-dawn hours of November 13th.
Damn.
Yeah.
That just shows how small it is there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So police arrested Kohberger, a PhD student in criminology at the nearby Washington State University in Pullman on December 30th. Mm-hmm. That's not true. Oh, never mind. It says he was there, not that they arrested him there. I was like, they arrested him in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
He's been held without bail in the Moscow jail since January 4th, pending his next court hearing June 26th. The case could get him the death penalty. I hope he gets the DP inmate Harrison Papillon said, "I'd be shocked if he didn't." Lots of jail officials remain tight-lipped about Kohberger at the time behind bars. One official told DailyMail.com that Kohberger's been well-behaved during his time there with no incidents. The official also pointed out that Kohberger's strict vegan dietary needs are being met by the vendor and that prepares meals for prisoners. Yeah, so he's still getting his vegan stuff sent to him. He still has that going for him. Despite his quiet demeanor, inmates say that they're all well aware of the gruesome crime that he's accused of carrying out. They follow the case intently on the news and discuss their infamous fellow inmate daily. I've been reading about the whole case since it started, and I knew he was in there. I said, "You think that? I bet you he likes that."
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, if everybody's saying that that's the first thing that he does, you know, he's one of those guys that, you know, is watching himself, things like that. You know, the fact that they're talking about him around him, you know, he's just kind of giving that stare. I bet you he thinks of himself like a little bit of a celebrity. What do you think?
Oh yeah, man. I think he likes the attention. I think he has those narcissistic tendencies, you know.
Yeah, no.
And like every picture I see, it's the same stare. Like it never changes.
No, you're right, dude. He's always doing the same stare. What do you think, Blue?
Yeah, man. I think he is a narcissist. I would say, in my opinion, because I don't know him personally, but from what I've seen, and a lot of people say it's a Daily Mail. You know, how much can you trust it? How much can you trust any news? People out there. I mean, some are more right than left, some are more left than right. So, but there is facts in there. There's facts. You just got to read it, and maybe trust them. See how the distance of the jail is from the house, and you can see if there is inmates in there with the same names that they're putting out there, because it probably is. Because they sometimes can get the information by paying those guys some money for their what do you call it, commissaries. They give them commissary money for interviews.
All right. Right. We have a comment here. Rhonda Stewart says he's watching and punch holes in the case. I'd be doing the same thing too. Maybe. Let's see. This says it's disturbing that something like that can happen in my hometown. I'm just happy I wasn't in the same cell as his. I've only seen him a few times. He added he was wearing an orange sweats and an orange t-shirt with 2 guards accompanying him wherever he needs to go. Ledette described the jail as cold and disgusting. He shared a cell with 5 people who get access to adjoining day room where they could watch TV, eat, shower, and talk. We always talk about the facts, but the fact that he was in the same jail with us. Nobody liked the guy. I could tell you that. There's a lot of hatred, but we were in awe of him. Nothing like that really happens around Moscow. It shocked a lot of people. Babylon said he's tried to get intel about Kohberger's time in jail, but that the officers there don't share much, if anything. He's only about 30 feet from my cell, he said. It's truly crazy. I can't believe I'm in here with one of the most infamous alleged, mass life takers in the United States. And so it sounds, by all accounts, sounds like they think that they're probably, amongst a celebrity. At least that's what they treat him like. It's insane. But very quiet to himself, walks around, having to be walked around. I'm not surprised by any of that. Let's see. I want to show you guys one more thing. Let me do that real quick. There. So this was sent to me by one of our members in our live chat, Deplorable Golden, and she wanted to get our thoughts on this, and I wanted to play this. It's a 30-second clip to you guys and get your opinions now that we've known a few things since this has happened. Let's see. Let's mute it.
I do have some inkling that there was some behavior difference. I call them a footprint. When you commit a crime, you do different behaviors. I've asked permission to give any of that out, and they told me no, it would not be beneficial. So I've held back on that, and I tried to keep my word.
I'm sorry, behavior of her or someone she knew?
Behavior of the victims.
Okay.
I do have some inkling that there was some behavior difference. I call them a footprint. When you commit a crime, you do different behaviors. I've asked permission to give any of that out, and they told me no, it would not be beneficial. So I've held back on that, and I tried to keep my word.
I'm sorry, behavior of her or someone she knew?
Behavior of the victims.
Behavior, the victims. And he's talking about behavior changing after committing a crime. Now, if he's talking about this crime, he can't be talking about the victims that have passed. Right?
Yeah.
What victims do you think he's talking about? The surviving ones?
Sure sounds like it, right?
What do you think, Blue?
I don't know, man. That confused me a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah. When Golden, Deplorable Golden, said that to us, I heard it, and then I was like, "Wait, what?" And then I listened to it a few times, and I'm like, "Okay, all right." So somebody was acting kind of weird, right? So now, could it be that another crime was committed prior to this?
Could be.
What kind of crime do we think could that have been?
I don't know. Drugs, maybe. I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking, man. You know, it's like, all right, which crime are we talking about? Are we talking about a crime in general that occurred prior to this incident?
Yeah.
Or, you know, or maybe perhaps he misspoke and maybe he meant, you know, a suspect instead of the victims. You know, that's possible. Maybe he did misspeak. I'm not sure when this was aired.
I was about to say that. I was like, because I know at one point they told him to like stop talking to media, right?
Right. Yeah. You know, let me see something real quick. This was on November 27th. Hold on. Let me see. Goncalves mentioned criminal behavior of one of the victims of the Idaho 4 on November 27th. So this was well before the arrest. He was advised not to discuss this. Evidence to support this was found back on December 2nd. Comments by Kernodle's father were that she struggled at the point of seeing Eric Chapin removal of his post. And so that's just kind of some stuff that was put on behind here. So apparently this was back on November 27th. I'm assuming that he wasn't told about Bryan Kohberger. I don't think that the police would have told him that they had a suspect and that, you know, the suspect here, they might say something like, "We're getting close." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they don't want to jeopardize their case. And especially, you know, somebody who's gone to the media.
Yeah. It could become a flight risk.
Right. Exactly. And so, I don't know, man. I saw this and I was kind of confused about that. Big Blue comes in saying, "Thank you all guys and gals for watching us tonight. We can hit that like and subscribe if not a sub. We're getting very close to 35K. We would appreciate that. We have 2,400 of you guys in here. That's more than enough than what we need. That'll get us into 36, maybe 37, depending on how many of you guys are already subscribed."
He typed it out. He could have easily just.
Yeah, but I could be on there longer if I type it.
You're a co-host.
So they want us to play it again. Let's play this again real quick.
I do have some inkling that there was some behavior difference. I call them a footprint. When you commit a crime, you do different behaviors. I've asked permission to give any of that out, and they told me no, it would not be beneficial. So I've held back on that, and I try to keep my word.
I'm sorry, behavior of her or someone she knew?
Behavior of the victims.
Okay.
I do have some inkling that there was some behavior difference. I call them a footprint. When you commit a crime, you do different behaviors. I've asked permission to give any of that out, and they told me no, it would not be beneficial. So I've held back on that, and I try to keep my word.
Maybe, and this is just me thinking out loud, maybe he meant when a crime is committed to them. Like perhaps maybe if somebody was stalking her, maybe they're saying that there was a change in their behavior, in one of their behaviors, as if somebody was committing a crime. Thank you so much, Mikey S, with your 550 super chat. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. So do you think that perhaps maybe, like, for instance, let's just say if one of the victims was being followed, then that would have caused the change in their behavior. And so they can go back and look at her behavior for the last month and say, hey, you know what? For the last 2 weeks, they stopped, this person stopped doing this person stopped doing that. That's usually an indication of some sort of crime or being committed to or from. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I think. Oh man, no. I think that he misspoken. Honestly, I feel like because when you hear the statement, it kind of sounds like he's talking about like the crime was committed, and then they all one of the victims at least changed their routine, right? Something was abnormal, right?
Right.
So that's what I think, but I don't know. It was just kind of bizarre though.
It is, man. It's really weird. And Blue, thank the member for us.
Thanks, Leticia Guerra.
I've been told I say the last name very, very wrong.
Those ours.
I had trouble, man. I got trouble. There's too much lights in my room. Let's see. So, yeah, because I mean, this information or this interview happened on November 27th, right? So, realistically, if we go through the probable cause affidavit in the manner that it went through, November 25th is where they're alerted to the car, Bryan Kohberger's car, right? That, hey, we found a car. It's Pennsylvania plates. It now has Washington plates. It belongs to Bryan Kohberger, and he has bushy eyebrows. And so the police were barely aware of him, if at all, at this point. I think Washington maybe not having even sent over the information at that point. So I don't think he misspoke and talked about the suspect that committed the murder itself, right? So it had to be something different. It would have to. We have a $5 super chat from Angel D. Do you think Kay interrupted the attack on M so Perp got mad and that's why her injuries were worse? She wasn't meant to even be there. Well, let's do a round table on that. We'll start off with you, Big Blue. What do you think about this question?
I think she, he probably was surprised that there was two people in that room. I mean, normally they would sleep separately, even if he didn't know her plans not to be there. Because, I know he was probably watching them, but you never know when somebody's going to be home or not. But I think he was surprised that they were both in the same room. So, yeah. Probably.
That's a possibility. Keep going. I'm sorry.
When I say probably somebody woke up and they were defense wounds. I would say they're more like defense wounds. Because, unless he was really mad at her, but he was more upset with the other person. So,
right. What do you think, Hannah?
No, I don't think Kaylee interrupted. I think they're both already either falling asleep or asleep. Because from what we know is that the person who had the most offensive wound was Dylan. You know what I mean? So that means that what's it called?
You mean Xana?
I mean Xana. Oh, my bad. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
What's it called? That means that the other two victims didn't put up a struggle.
All right.
Like I'm pretty sure if she walked in on him committing a crime and he grabbed her and try to inflict some wounds on her or injuries on her, she'll be fighting more than being asleep, or at least laying down.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she woke up when, I would assume based on the injuries that Madison was attacked first, right? And then he went to Kaylee. Based on the description of that, it sounds like maybe perhaps some anger was towards Kaylee. The injuries to Ethan and Xana don't sound what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they don't sound extremely less gruesome. Outside of the face, they made a point to say that the face was preserved on the Airmail article by Jeff Bloom, right? And so outside of that, but you had some severe injuries to Xana, which probably could have been from also defensive wounds from fighting back. I'm assuming that he attacked Ethan first. Maybe, I mean, I don't know the extent of Madison's injuries, but maybe hers weren't as bad because his attraction, you know what I mean? And perhaps Kaylee was more of the upset at, anger. And so I don't know, but we have a $11.22 super chat from Procer Gain saying, thank you for the great coverage. I still think something is fishy with Dylan not calling 911. What are your guys' thoughts? Let's do this one also roundtable. We'll start off with you, Jaime. Are you still thinking that something's up with Dylan on that non-911 call?
Yeah, it's strange the way it acted out. Like, you would expect someone to hear these things happening upstairs on your home, and you at least call the cops. You know what I mean? But for her, like, I think what happened with her is the fact that the way she acted wasn't the right response. You know what I mean?
Right. Do you think Poser Gain asked, do you think she was getting rid of drugs? Is that the reason why she acted that way?
I mean, how many hours passed by? 9 hours?
Yeah, it was from 4 o'clock till about noon is when the police were called. If that was
the reason why it took that long, I don't think it would take that long to get rid of everything. You know what I mean? Unless it was like a huge amount, which I doubt it.
Right. What are your thoughts, Blue, on the situation?
I think, like we had talked about it before, we had said that I believe she had called and I think the other roommate had answered. So maybe she had a little bit of sense of security that something was okay, and maybe everybody else was just drunk.
Right.
But the thing that got me was that she had called somebody else to come over to check on them because they weren't answering in the morning. You know what I mean? I guess when she woke up or she saw them laying there instead of calling the police. That's what confuses me.
Right. I mean, yeah, like Blue said, we've talked about this, and the reason why maybe perhaps she didn't call the police and she called the neighbor first was because of the fact that she didn't want to overreact. Maybe perhaps they were just asleep. She's, like I said, so the way I think it went down is I think she did yell out something to towards Xana and Ethan's room, assuming that they were just having a party. And that when the person walked by, I think that the fact that person had a mask probably freaked her out the most. Like, why is this guy wearing a mask? I understand the whole C19 and all that other stuff, but that's been a couple of years. They've gone to a couple of parties out there. As far as we've seen police cam footage, nobody's wearing a mask. And so that's not something I would assume would be common for that house at that time, right? So that probably did startle her. And so, like we said, she probably did get scared, decided to call people inside the house. Maybe Bethany does answer, gives her some false sense of security. So she goes to sleep, wakes up, smells the smell, starts calling people. Nobody else is answering, calls Bethany. Bethany's getting kind of worried because she can't get anybody on the phone. Scared to walk out, scared to overreact. Maybe that's why they call a friend / neighbor allegedly over, and he discovers everything. He leaves in a he takes off in a series, like at a quickly, because it's his best friend, right? Allegedly. And so he leaves his phone behind, goes in, discovers the bodies, yells out, runs to Dylan because she's also on the second floor, gets the phone, calls 911. That's my theory on that. We have a few theories about a lot of things. In fact, we have a couple of shows that'll be coming out later this week. We're going to have a theory or show about the theory as to why Bryan Kohberger may have thought or knew that it was going to be who was going to be in the house when they were in the house, and why it was going to be quiet.
Yeah.
And then we also going to have a video out talking about potentially what Bryan Kohberger's defense is going to be in this case. You don't want to miss it. So hit the like button, ring the bell, hit the subscribe button. You know what to do. Jaime, you good?
What's it called? Do you think? Okay, let me ask you this. With Dylan, do you think it will be more her going to shock seeing a suspect with a mask in the dark, or her walking out and seeing the bodies?
I would assume that if she did go into shock, that it would have been from seeing the bodies versus the mask.
Unless she went straight from her room through the sliding doors outside, right? That's
Right.
the only way she could not seen that.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, her back bedroom window goes outside.
Yeah.
So don't you think that she would have looked out the back window to see where he would have left, what he would have left in, where he would have walked towards, what direction he would have gone in? Because that's the way that window's facing.
Yeah.
That maybe she did. There's apparently Dylan made a statement, right? And we don't know anything. Not Dylan, Bethany. She made a statement, and we don't know anything about what Bethany was saying, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe perhaps there's more to Dylan's story as well. Maybe she did look out the back window, saw this person walk towards, a white Elantra that was parked back there. Because then that would also mean and tie in that white Elantra scene. It would corroborate all the evidence and tie it in together with what they see on the footage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't think she was frozen in fear, because I think it was Ethan's sister-in-law who had came out and verified on one of these forums that Dylan made phone calls that night to all the people in the house. That's why I assume that Bethany answered, and she got that false sense of security. So I don't see how you can be frozen to the point where you make calls to other people but not the police. What do you think, Big Blue?
I don't know. I think she had that false, maybe sense of safety, and maybe she didn't smell it. But I was gonna say, the other day somebody did come to work with a big old bloody nose, right, towel full of blood, and I could smell it when I was talking to them across the counter. I could smell it when they were in the room, the blood, the iron smell. So I can imagine, 4 unalive bodies that bled out for a while. The house would have that smell if it was closed, So, and there is a $20 chat there from Haters Gonna Hate.
Yeah, $20 super chat. Haters Gonna Hate. Shock. We've called cops first, not friends. Just saying. Yeah. Well, that's true. That is true.
I find it hard to believe that she didn't get up or get out of the room for 8 or 9 hours. You got to go restroom at one point, right?
Well, yeah, that and don't forget there was that report that the front door was open at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So there's still a lot of questions as to why those things were there. Deplore Golden comes in and says, remember, DM screen was also off the window on her room, but that was off beforehand. But it was off, and it would allow her to have a good visual of outside, not looking through a screen. You know what I'm saying? Through that back window. craziness, man, craziness. What do you think?
For sure, man. I mean, wait till we find out what actually like Dylan and Bethany's statements are. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I think there's a lot more there. I think there's a lot more information. I think they're going to find a lot out of these search warrants. Now, there's a search warrant that I'm interested in seeing. The one that I really, really want to see more than any of them at this point is a search warrant for the cell phone data that they have. And right here it doesn't. So here they have the search warrant for the cell phone towers, right? I want the search warrant that they got so that they were able to gather his cell phone information, because in that warrant is going to tell the court why they suspect him of being the person at that time.
Yeah.
And if all it says is that he drives a white Hyundai Elantra like thousands of other people in that area, and that he's 6 foot, 185 pounds, like a lot of people in that area with bushy eyebrows, that's going to be that's not going to be enough. Now, if that thing says, there was online communication between him and one of the victims and a bunch of other things to prove that he may, a little bit more, that he actually prove something that he actually had something to do with it. Because remember, that search warrant was also before they got his DNA. So it's not going to be, his DNA was on the sheath, right? Yeah. That search warrant is going to have a lot of vital information. I can't wait to get that. Angel D goes, will Dylan and Bethany take the stand? Cross-examination will be brutal. They will have to. They will have to. I mean, everybody has the right to face their accuser, right?
Unless I thought sometimes they can do like the one where they do the private room. They don't have to be in the court, but they can do it in the private room.
That's usually for like children, though.
Okay.
And like victims of like sometimes of the SA, where the person that committed the SA to them is in the courtroom. That might be a time where they do something like that, but that's typically like children. I don't think in this situation where they came across Kohberger, well, Dylan did, but like Bethany didn't. I don't think she would be privileged to that.
Yeah. I wonder. We'll see.
Yeah.
We want to see when the courts are set, and we want to try to make it out there, hopefully. So
see, that's the goal. That's the goal.
The chance of them testifying is a lot bigger than actually getting Bryan up on the stand. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I mean, I think Bryan going on the stand is going to depend on how the case is going. If the case is going like against him and he has nothing to lose at that point, might as well go up there. You know what I'm saying? But if it's looking like it's a 50-50 type of deal, and I would think and assume that he wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, the Alex Murdaugh case, one of the jurors said that he was kind of 50-50 until he took the stand.
Yeah. I think that's what I said, that I think he saw that these the holes he was trying to fill in, to make his story work.
Right.
And I believe he felt like he could do that, but it didn't turn out his way like he wanted to.
No, for sure. Mikey S comes back in with a 550 super chat. Always confused and interested in hearing why there are so many FBI on this case. Too many weird things with this. Am I crazy? Now, when we look at the extensive search from the search warrants, right, of what they were trying to grasp, they were searching through tremendous amount of documents, whether it was eBay, Amazon, Walmart, wherever they could find the knife being sold, right? So they had to go through all that data. They also went and grabbed all the video evidence or video tapes from all the UPS drivers in the area for a certain amount of time. My assumption is that they were looking through a bunch of dash film for possibly running into a white Elantra, see who's operating those vehicles, perhaps maybe even find Bryan Kohberger's white Elantra just so happened to pass in front of a a UPS truck on certain days and times. And the reason that they would look for that is to show that he's the only one that's operating that vehicle. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he can't come back and say, oh, somebody else drives my car too. It's not just me. And so, I think that that is a tremendous amount of evidence that they were combing through. And not to mention the tip lines that were coming in. I think they talked about the thousands of tips that they had gotten. So I'm assuming that the reason why they needed so much manpower or power to begin with is because of the fact that there was just so much information, and you're looking at a really small department with the Moscow Police Department.
I'm sure they assigned like a certain amount of agents to a certain victim, right?
That's true too. That's the other thing. You're absolutely right. You bring up a great point. Like there was 4 victims here. They had to do a victimology on each 4 of them and track down their history and what they had done. So that's possible. And then we also heard from our caller Kim that she had I think it was a Idaho State police officer. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That was assigned to her as far as what information that they had. Woohoo! I'm a UPS driver, been for 20 years. Thank you, Kim. Thank you for your service too. Without her, I wouldn't get a lot of my packages, man. That's who I use is UPS. It's the most reliable, in my opinion. Get us a sponsorship. That's just playing.
Even in the Delphi case, they had like 50-something FBI agents, right?
They had a few. I don't recall how many though, but they've had quite a bit. In fact, they had a whole team there, and I don't remember the amount. I mean,
the only difference is that they took 5 years for that one.
Right. Well, they had some tunnel vision in that case. I mean, when you have, you're looking in one direction and you have a guy where the bodies were found on his property. He was lying about his alibi before the crime was discovered to have happened during the time of the crime. So, there's some big red flags out there. So that, they got some tunnel vision on that guy and didn't realize that he was just trying to cover up for his drinking problem. We have another super chat here coming in from Deanna Miller. On the 3 Hour Live, you mentioned the bank accounts, post purchases. Could they have bought drugs from him or vice versa? Or they had to clean up the drugs before calling 911, allegedly. And so, yeah, they were looking at bank accounts. They were going to try to find if there was any connection between Kohberger or anybody that they were maybe paying off, buying something from. When it comes to police work, they're not going to look at somebody and say, oh, these people, this person looks like a nice person, comes from a nice family. They couldn't have been involved in drugs, so we're not going to go down that avenue. That's not how it works. They're going to cross every avenue to ensure that, that it's not coming out. And so does it mean that they were cleaning up drugs before the 911 call? It's possible. I mean, you're looking at, there's some 911, body cam footage from police of how these kids were acting when the police came by and there was just alcohol involved. If these kids didn't know the extent or the severity of the crime that had occurred, maybe perhaps, maybe that could be a reason. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that they cleaned it up? Like that's the reason? It seems to be a pretty popular reason.
Yeah, it's been up there for a while already. Even before the Kim thing, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. It could be. I mean, it all just depends what we're gonna hear. Maybe it wasn't even that at all. Maybe it was the fact that she was in shock, and that's why it took forever for her to call the neighbor, right?
Yeah, and to clarify why I say it's the neighbor, that comes from somebody who I know who knows one of the victims' families. I'll leave it at that. So, and then I've heard it like 4 other times from different sources, and so it's kind of collaborated it. And then you hear Ashley Banfield come out saying that it's been reported as being the best friend, which is also the same thing that I've heard from 3 or 4 sources. And so, yeah, that's why we assume or think that it's the neighbor, allegedly, or HJ. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But we are getting close to that 9 o'clock hour on our time. We're going to be closing it down here pretty soon. If you guys would do us a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. Final words, Big Blue, we're going to start off with you. Any final words before we wrap this up? Also, don't forget tomorrow, guys, we're going live around 1 o'clock, 1:10 p.m. Central for our midday show. Blue, final words.
I just wanted to tell everybody, y'all be safe out there. Y'all take care of yourselves. Yes, try to watch what your kids do. And, I just wanted to send out my condolences for the Sadeje family. She's a podcaster who got, she got unalived by one of her followers who became infatuated with her and, tracked her down and, unalived her and her husband. So my condolences out to the family.
Right. No, yeah, you're absolutely right, man. That was a sad situation. And, I see a lot of people saying like, bag of weed or whatever is not worth not calling 911. I agree. But these are also very young kids that are immature, inexperienced in life, and maybe unaware of what occurred around them to a certain extent. Maybe they were just hiding in their room and they don't know what's going on. And so we don't know the full answers. You know what I'm saying? Jaime, do you have any last words?
With the first case that you brought up today, with the child being found,
yeah,
I just want to say, we got to keep our children safe as much as we can, as parents. Make sure you know where they're at all times, and make sure who they're talking to. And thanks to everybody in the chat, especially our members. Thanks for our mods for helping us out, to you guys.
Yeah, our mods. Thank you so much, and thank you too, Jaime. We appreciate
thank you,
Blue. And tomorrow we'll be back on. And 1 second. Tomorrow we'll be back on at 1 o'clock. I'm sure we're going to be talking about. Keep posted. Follow us on Twitter. We're at Drunk Turkey Show. You can follow us on Instagram, Drunk Turkey Show, Facebook. Also, don't forget Drunk Turkey Clips, our sister channel, that just has 10-15 minute clips of our live shows. Please go follow and subscribe to those. And go ahead.
I'm a big fan of the Alexa. So if you tell Alexa you want to listen to the Drunk Turkey Show, she'll put it on for you.
Oh yeah. So Google. I did that. I said, "Hey Google, play the Drunk Turkey Show," and it came on. So check us out everywhere. Till tomorrow, y'all. We'll see you then. Peace out.